yeah, but come on, touching his, like his belly, like, ugh.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Cantina Conversations. Don't even have a nickname. I'm the spin me right round, Travis Snell.
I am the anthologist, Taylor Field.
That sounds like a new religion, like Scientology or something. I'm an anthologist.
Get Tom Cruise in on it.
There are people that call themselves prequelists, so that's going to be you in this era. The
Prequelists.
people that defend the anthology films.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Cantina Conversation, our Star Wars spin-off show. This was a topic we were planning on doing before Solo. We were going to rank the spin-off, or we talked about doing it before Solo came out. We're going to rank the Star Wars spin-off.
Third time's a charm.
We're going to rank the Star Wars spin-off movies that have been rumored lately. Wolf Warrior, go check out the Gauntlet. We've been losing, but we're going to make a big comeback, just like Star Wars. No, so we talked about ranking them. Obviously, there's a lot going on with Solo. Go check out our Geek vs. Nerds. We talked a bunch about Star Wars and what could happen, and maybe some of these spin-offs might not happen. We didn't think that when we talked about this idea of the podcast. We're like, oh no, they're just going to keep making all these movies. But we're still going to have the idea that they're making all these movies. So what we're going to do is we have the 6 most rumored and recent ones of spin-off films that have been talked about happening, and we're going to rank them between separately or solely our excitement level. So we got 6. So the ones that we have, this is on my list. It's just the way I have them because I wrote them this way. Boba Fett, Lando, Rian Johnson's trilogy, Benioff Weiss, the Game of Thrones creators trilogy, Obi-Wan, and Solo 2. So those are the 6. So we're going to go from least to most excited and give a few reasons why, and it's classic Cantina, so I'm sure we'll debate a little. Taylor, do you want to go first, or should I go first?
Yeah, I'll drop it away. We starting with number 1 or number 6?
I would start with your least excited, and I'll write them down so at the end I can do a
Least
shout out. So
excited.
yeah, I'd say, what are you least excited for these spin-offs? Which is hard for Taylor, because Taylor would watch... Well, maybe... Actually, I know what's going to be your least excited. It's going to be Londo.
Obi-Wan. No. Londo. Londo, yeah. Not a fan when they announced this. I saw the articles. Kathleen Kennedy was talking about, yeah, interesting character, let's do it. I'm like, Kathleen Kennedy, sit down. I don't want this
Go
movie.
home, you're drunk.
Go home, you're drunk. No one wants this movie.
You support Kathleen Kennedy and all this other stuff. You're not going to support Orlando?
You know, if I could play Star Wars Trivial Pursuit with her and she could demonstrate a proper amount of knowledge of Star Wars,
whoa,
then, I feel like, okay, then yeah, you know what you're doing and you can do a great job. But I feel like, I really, really enjoyed Han Solo. I think Lando was great. Lando was great in that film, but I think he's great as, a co-cohort or compadre, like a side partner in crime, not to have his own film.
Really? So you don't think even after Solo he gets such a good performance, you wouldn't want to know more about him, his rise to power as far as Cloud City and everything like that? And I feel like they gave him a bit new shades with the droids and everything like that. Like, there's nothing more you want to learn about him?
I think, we got the smuggler story. We don't need another one. Not at least for a few years. Space it out.
I feel like we didn't... Yeah, but I want a good smuggler story.
Well, that's
Go
the
check that out.
A New Hope and everything. You get
See,
in there.
that's where I disagree. And that's why my least excited one for... Because the reason... What I'm being my least excited, Solo 2. The reason we listed this, obviously, because there's not much of a rumor, but... We may talk a little spoilers here for Solo, so you can tune out. Taylor is fighting my kitchen counter. The reason is because Solo, not trying to get into spoilers, clearly leaves it as far as, like, they're trying to do another one, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want the other one just because I was not a big fan of Alden Ehrenreich, and the movie, to me, that's where Lando, for me, is exciting, because I wanted, like I said, I either wanted the deep journey of Han Solo, of how he became a nice guy to an asshole, or I wanted the fun smuggler adventure where it's just like a Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp good time movie, and he's doing some weird stuff. I feel like I didn't get either of that. I got some weird mixture, so that's where maybe I'll talk about Lando after. But with Solo, I just have no interest in seeing him again. Maybe it's like Ewan, where Ewan was good in Phantom Menace, but he got better as he went along. Maybe you could sell me, but I think it's just the same thing. I didn't already need a first Solo movie, and I don't think I need another one. They They did every single big thing in the Solo movie. They did the Kessel Run. They did his name. They did the gun. They did Chewie. They did meeting Lando. They did like the Sabacc game. They got the Falcon. Like everything you've heard about Solo, they did in one movie instead of, I don't know, maybe spacing out on these sequels. So now I especially don't want another one. So of course I would see it as the podcast, but I would have zero excitement for this, even with the big person they introduced at the end of Solo, which could cause a huge amount of problems. So yeah, Solo 2 is easily. The other ones have gone back and forth, but it's easily my least anticipated.
Following up with that, my number 5 is Solo 2. I think, I don't like Lando getting his own movie, but this one I'd be a bit more okay with than a Lando movie, but I don't want a Solo 2. I feel like with the characters we got in Solo, they can go off on their own journey. If that branches over to other characters,
but Lando can't go on his own journey.
No, I don't want these characters. With the way they set up the story, without spoiling it, it doesn't make sense for these characters to go off with Lando. I feel like these characters, if they take them out and send them on their own path, it makes sense to connect them with, as we move down the ranks, those character spin-off movies. It would be more fitting. A Han Solo movie, a sequel, I don't need to see him doing a couple jobs for, Jabba the Hutt or whatever he's going to be doing or anything like that. I can pass on that.
Well, wouldn't that be a Boba Fett movie?
Well, no, because, Boba Fett, that's all, we'll get to that, but that's all, bounty hunters and all that stuff. Jabba the Hutt's all, Yabba here, Yabba there, and smuggling things, the whole Hutt cartel thing, which is kind of cool, but, there's not much for them to go off of with Han Solo where they end it with his character, because you can fill in the gaps between Solo and...
We could already fill in the gaps.
Well, to a point, to the
not
point.
to
too fine a point, but to a point. So after watching Solo, it made me want to go watch A New Hope. Watching Solo 2, it's not going to make me want to go watch anything else. Putting it that way.
It would for you if the last scene is him in the cantina right before he meets Obi.
Oh god, that's definitely milking the blue milk, though. I should say.
Rogue One did that.
Well, Rogue One though was a whole new Star Wars story though with different characters.
It's not a whole new Star Wars story. It still has Vader. It still had Tarkin. It still had the Death Star. So don't say a whole.
Well, no, it's got original characters, but a whole new story.
Well, Solo's technically a whole new story. We knew that some people got the plans for the Death Star, and we knew Solo did the Kessel Run.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like a Solo 2 doesn't have any of that. It doesn't even have enough wiggle room. Which is funny, because even though it has 10 years, I feel like it can't offer us anything.
Just the fun adventure, but I think I'd much rather get the Lando fun adventure.
I don't know if I want the fun adventure right now. I'm craving, what Solo did was release those, satisfying, when I was itchy, it scratched me really, really good. And that's what I'm craving, from a Star Wars movie. So that's my number 5.
Okay, my number 5 is the trilogy from the Game of Thrones creators. The reason why I went with this is because we don't know anything about what they've planned for this. They've just announced, hey, Benioff and Weiss are doing this, okay. Love Game of Thrones, especially his last few seasons. I really like it more and more, because I really liked 1 and 2, and then I felt it kind of dipped for a while, and I've liked the last 2. But honestly, it's just there because I don't have much to say with it. I just have an immense dislike for a Solo 2, the idea of it, where I'm open to it, but that's why it's the ball in the barrel. If Solo 2 wasn't a rumored thing or something they were trying to set up for, this would be the bomb, just because, yeah, it's cool that they announced that these guys are doing it, but I can reveal why these other picks are higher when I get to them, and it'll make sense why they're down there. So yeah, number 5 for me is the Game of Thrones trilogy, guys.
Game of Thrones.
The best thing about that I will say is, like the Rian Johnson one, it is hopefully these guys' vision from start to finish, and we've seen with the episodes right now, that's a big complaint for lots of people, and I can see why, so I think that's a positive. So yeah, that's my number 5.
Yeah. That's actually my number 4.
Okay.
So, like you said, I don't know.
Trailing me except for
a little bit. Lando, well-deserved 6 there. I don't know what this is going to entail.
I'll wait till I get the Lando.
I love Game of Thrones. I have all the seasons except the last 3 because they're expensive, but
they are.
Huge fan. I love it. I'm very excited to see what they're writing, what they're cooking up in the lab. So Death Sticks.
Yeah. It's a trilogy.
Death Sticks trilogy.
Death Sticks, and Death Stickser.
With that,
Dumb and Dumber.
I don't remember his name. He's in our intro. I can't remember his name. Elon
Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk.
Huge cameo in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, no, I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, if they immediately drop, we're gonna do Old Republic.
Yeah.
Ooh, number one, just sneak in there. So
I guess that's why I didn't put, because I didn't put Knights of the Old Republic. I guess I should have said that when I revealed them as my fifth. Is obviously lots of people have pointed because of Game of Thrones they're doing that, but at the same point, everybody thought, I can't remember which one it was. Maybe it's just Ryan Johnson, but I felt like there was one where, yeah, he said that, and then for some reason he said some statement where it made it sound like, no, it's not really going to be that. And then same thing with the TV show Jon Favreau. I think myself was there. It's like, oh, that for sure could be Knights of the Old Republic because it's a TV show. And no, so I don't want to keep jumping on that bandwagon, so that's why it's so low for me. If it was for sure like, yeah, these guys are making this trilogy and it's in the Old Republic, then great. Then this would be much higher, because that's, I think, the movie Star Wars needs right now. As far as a prequel goes, I think anything adjacent to the episodes or in the future could work. But as far as prequels, I think focusing on characters other than a few could be a mistake. Obviously, we just saw a Solo. It's a little tricky. So I think if it's Old Republic, that'd be great. But that's been some of my problems with Star Wars is, why did they... I guess a quick side topic. Why did they... I guess Johnson, they announced a trilogy because they just were so confident that was going to go with no problems. But why did they even announce this trilogy when they don't even have a date when this is starting or coming out, you know? And I'd get it if they announced it and put out like a, you know, oh, and it's about this character or this, but it's like they just announced these guys are doing a trilogy. And it's like they're still working on Game of Thrones. Like, why not even wait until after Game of Thrones? Like, I don't know why they've announced it. And other than that announcement, they've been quiet, because most of spin-offs, other than... No, the only two that have been announced is Johnson's trilogy and this one. The rest are all big rumors right now, but speculation. But, like, these are the two that's been announced, and we've heard nothing. Johnson I get, because Last Jedi came out and he just finished it, but this, it's like, why did we even announce this, you know?
I think it comes down to just... Well, I mean, I don't really know what their plan is. I think it could be as simple as just...
they know what their plan is.
Maybe, probably not. I mean, just creating awareness, really. I mean...
Yeah.
You know, they put it out there that, you know, it's something they
look at when... Do you remember when they announced that?
The Game of Thrones people?
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know that was a thing. Or maybe I might have probably forgot, because it was so...
Game of Thrones trilogy.
I think it's such a minute detail that obviously I forgot about it. I mean, the Ryan Johnson one I knew, because that had a lot more buzz around it, but...
February is when they announced Benoff and Wise films separate from pre-existing franchise and Ryan Johnson's previously announced trilogy. Yeah, so February, so January. That was right after... I wonder if that had... I don't know, did that have anything to do? They were trying to be like, oh, hey, if Ryan Johnson's trilogy's not doing it for you, we're doing this. But even then, like, it's not even while Game of Thrones was out there. Like, February, they didn't need the awareness. So I wonder if they're just saying that to try and move away from the Last Jedi controversy, but...
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I think probably just to create some buzz, and I guess just the awareness. I don't know. I don't really understand it.
Yeah, it's a little DC-ish of like, oh, we're making 5 probably
Yeah, and then they'll tweet their plans have changed or something like that.
You're ready for my number
director's
4?
been fired.
Oh, of course.
What is your number 4?
Boba Fett. For you, it's probably going to be number 1 because he looks so cool and he's a bounty hunter. This is a shit character. And I say this, I'm my Star Wars fan. I love Boba Fett. He looks so cool. I want him to be cool. I love the fucking bounty hunter game on PS2. I played it not too long ago. I love Boba Fett, just like many Star Wars characters. But when you really break it down, take out the expanded universe because that stuff doesn't count anymore. The stuff where they made him all cool with these Ventures Vader. In just the movies, which I'm a fan of. I know he's even in Clone Wars or this or that. Or Rebels, whatever. Like, take all that out. If just the movies, he's a nothing character who does nothing. He did not capture Han Solo. Darth Vader did. Like, that's one of the biggest shit things ever. Is like, Darth Vader gets all these people and maybe Boba Fett helped track them down, but didn't Lando just give them up? Like, how did they get
the
to Cloud
Empire
City?
got there first.
But, I mean, like...
Because Boba Fett tracked them.
Okay, so that's the one thing Boba Fett did. He tracked them. But even then, he didn't even get a cool scene. He just walks out with his gun. And he looks cool. He sounds cool. And everything like that. He's a cool character. But a lot of that coolness goes away with, one, the way he dies. And if he's dead, then that's stupid because he just dies. And, like, he's a big character who dies in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And two, another reason is because there's lots of mysterious lots of mystery around that character, right? It's very similar to a Vader, and we've seen what happens when Vader gets fleshed out. For me, it almost ruined the character, or portions of it. Solo got fleshed out a little too much in his movie, and that's what I worry with Boba could happen. And like we talked about in a newscast, check it out, just came out. I agree with you that maybe they learn from their mistakes and they don't do those certain things. So I take that back, and I go, okay, let's say they correct all those mistakes. I just don't think a Boba Fett movie solely is what needs to be a movie, other than, okay, it could be cool. I think Dylan brought up a good thing of our cast of, like, I want a Bounty Hunters movie, and maybe it is a Bounty Hunter movie just called Boba Fett or something like that. But I still think if he's the main character, that's fine, almost in like a terrible expression, but almost like a Guardian. Well, this is good. Guardians of the Galaxy, or I was going to say Suicide Squad with Deadshot, but almost in that vein, then sure. Or even him competing with some bounty hunter or something like that. I just don't know if it's like a movie that starts with Boba Fett and his adventures would work. The two things I think could work is, one, if they almost made it like John Wick or something like that, where it's a small hour and a half just contained story of him either having to get somebody or him either having to take this transport or something to jail or something like that, almost like Django Unchained, like something very minor and just some great mission. What I wanted Solo to be, where Solo I think sometimes got a little too much into the big crime world, and there's some faction who's like, we really need this for the rebellion, and it's like, oh, why are we going to get the rebellion? Like, I would want a little adventure, and the obvious why this is higher, because honestly it could have been lower, is because James Mangold, he directed Logan. That's going to get me very excited. The only thing is, I don't think that, like, oh, he can't make a PG-13 movie. I just don't know, is Star Wars willing to go where he wants to go? Because my example of that is, he made The Wolverine, which The Wolverine I really enjoyed, but he even said that the studio buckled down them a little bit, and it wasn't exactly the movie they wanted to make. There's an unrated cut of the movie, but still, there's stuff they didn't get to, and that's why with Logan, the quality's up there, because they didn't need, yeah, there's nudity, yeah, there's swearing and blood, but really it was just because the subject matter they were tackling was so adult, they needed that R rating, and that's why I wonder with the Boba Fett movie, to really get into a dark, gritty character, I don't think it needs to even be rated R, or to make him that cool badass who, like, doesn't, as Taylor would say, give no fucks. Like, just someone that is like a bounty hunter, like No Country for Old Men, like Anton Chigurh. I don't know if they can get to those depths, and if they can, I think you can in a PG-13. My thing is, I just don't know if Disney will let them. I feel like we've talked about that before. They play it safe, and they play it with what's going to sell more toys, and maybe that will change now, but if I'm just still going off of the past with Rogue One and Solo, for me, very safe films. Like Rogue One notoriously got reshot because it was too dark. A Boba Fett movie, to me, doesn't need to be rated R, but it does have to have dark aspects, because this is a man who's paid to either track or kill people. And that doesn't really sell toys. And that's the thing with Boba Fett. The other thing I worry is, my last point until I throw to you, unless you want to wait till it's on your list, but my last point is, he is still on the villain side, right? Technically, yes, I guess he's just a hired gun, Vader paid him, he doesn't care about Rebel and Empire. But really, in our like view of him in the movies, and same as Django, they're always on the bad side, right? And those are tough to pull off, just villain as the main character movies, right? They're always great as side pieces, or they're great in maybe an ensemble, Suicide Squad withstanding, but I think that it could be, I feel like the Boba Fett movie poses a lot of problems, where something else, which I'll get into later, seems like an easy fit, but this feels like it could be another Solo where a lot of people could be mixed and be like, we didn't need that. Like I said, I don't want to know why Boba Fett ended up making his clothes green, you know, and maybe we don't learn about that, but maybe we do, and they're like, oh yeah, because, you know, he had some unfortunate spray painting accident. It's like, I don't know, and I'm interested. I get, you know, I'll wait until I bring up that question, but because I'll wait till you bring it up. But that's my point of, I'm excited because the director, that got me a bit more excited, but I'm still very tentative.
Mm-hmm. Well, funny coincidence, my number 3 is Boba Fett movie.
Wow.
Fucking
Mando.
I think I am excited for it. Depending though what they do with the story and Solo, obviously that's where I'm curious.
Well, this is what I was gonna say to myself. I was gonna ask you, where does this time frame have to be? Does it have to be like? Are you fine with it 3 to 4, or do you want after Return of the Jedi?
This is a movie I'm okay with it being 3 to 4. I think this is, you know, the prime time for bounty hunters. I think there's so much, you know, you can dive into. I mean, I've read a couple of the comics with Darth Vader and Boba Fett and their relationship, and it is amazing stuff. It's a fantastic
new canon
read.
ones?
The new canon ones. It is fantastic. Like, stuff like, not to spoil too much, but like when Boba Fett finds out the identity to Luke Skywalker and tells Vader, and then Vader's tangent, he goes off with the Emperor. Like, it's fantastic. Like, the things that Boba Fett has done in the storyline.
I can't believe this.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's on a planet with so much sand. See,
It's-
I'm the reverse. I'm more excited if it's after Jedi because
Really?
we don't know what happens to him. Because you know what happens in 3 to 4 if that's happening. I know where he ends up in a fucking pit, like a little bitch.
I think it's cool to know where the characters where they come from or what they go through leading to that point.
Vader.
And Solo, that's why I enjoyed Solo, and I like the prequels.
But you can see that lots of people are the reverse that don't enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say? Gosh, I mean, their TV series they're doing after Episode 6. Maybe they throw Boba Fett into there or something.
I don't want him in both of those. I literally just want what I wanted with Solo, and I want, if that's in, and it's just a little spoiler for my Lando pick and why it's higher. It's just like I want them just to do an adventure movie or revenge thriller, like nothing of a big, huge scope adventure, and that's why I worry with Boba. The other thing is people have said, how are you on the idea of Boba Fett if it is after Return of the Jedi, if it's not the Starlight Pit guy? Some people have brought the idea of what happens if Boba Fett is like a legend and there's like a different person under there and it's not like actual Fett, but someone adopts that armor. How do you feel about that?
Be interesting, but that's not the story I want to see on the big screen. I want to see the story about Boba Fett, who's in the arena on Geonosis, and his dad's head just got sliced by Mace Windu, and he's choked, he's peeved, and the novel's about him and what he has to go through is absolutely intense.
You just want George Lucas to make more prequels.
I do more prequel films, George, but his story is so intense. I loved his situations in the Clone Wars cartoon that he goes through. They're fantastic. I think there's so much that they can tap into him, taking the reins, and I feel like Solo does put it takes you in a direction where if they pick up with Boba Fett, it would only make sense.
Okay, do spoilers, because I don't understand. You've said that multiple times, and I don't understand.
Do
spoilers?
spoilers?
Spoilers for Solo the next 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
You're talking about the 3-2-1, the Maul stuff, right?
3-2-1. Not necessarily the Maul stuff. Yes, Maul could set it up for the fact that Maul recruits Boba Fett, uses him to do some stuff or whatever. Yeah, but I'm thinking more on the fact that
choke me.
Aura Singh was mentioned, and not only Aura Singh but Bosk and the twins. I can't remember who exactly they are.
Dengar.
No Dengar, but I feel like all these references to bounty hunters, this is a huge setup.
Okay.
Aura Singh in the animation took Boba Fett in and raised him, or not raised him, but trained him.
How do you know, though, that it's a setup and not just Easter eggs and stuff for the fans?
Well, that's just that I don't. I mean, if it's Easter eggs, I love the Easter eggs, that's fine. But if it is a setup and they do put out that Boba Fett movie, then I could look back and be like, oh, they were foreshadowing, makes total sense now.
I really want with that. I should have found their name, but that tweet that I screenshotted you of the Vader wants to take down Crimson Dawn, so he hires Boba Fett to infiltrate Maul's company.
Oh yeah,
that's what I want, because that's what I literally want. A bounty hunter, their list of jobs that they do. I just want a snippet of Boba Fett doing that, and that's because I don't know if I want him to interact with Han so much, because obviously him and Han have some interaction, I would imagine, by just kind of Return of the Jedi, the way Han just says Boba Fett, I just don't know. I really want it. This would be bumped up if I knew it took place after Jedi for me, because I know you want to learn more about that character, but I feel like you got some of that already in Clone Wars, where with after Jedi, one, I want to see more of that time period like Jon Favreau, because it's stuff we don't really know much about. We got some books, some comics, and then the Battlefront 2 game, the campaign, a little bit of that. But then, I don't know where Boba Fett ends up, and obviously there's a good chance that Boba Fett does die at some point, because he's not in the new trilogy, but then I don't know how he dies, where every time, I'm still going to think they could make him the greatest character of all time, but he still just gets hit in the back, and he goes into a pit, and that's where I want a story where I don't necessarily know the ending of it, and maybe he's on some revenge thing, I don't know, but I would want, and I don't know, I want him after Han or anything like that, I don't want him going to Endor and trying to catch them, but yeah, I don't know, I don't know if this happens anymore after Solo, but My next one is the Rian Johnson trilogy. So this one, I think, for some people might be high. I really liked Last Jedi. Definitely had some problems. Poe's storyline was not the greatest. Finn and Rose's storyline was pretty awful. I'm about to watch Jedi for a third time once it's on Netflix, or a fourth time now. And I'm excited because I haven't seen it in a while. And I don't know, every time I've seen it, I've liked that less and less. But the stuff that I loved was all the Force stuff. Barring Yoda's lightning bolt, I still don't understand that. Not a big fan of the Force Ghosts having powers. But I love the Kylo and Rey stuff. And I really liked the Luke stuff. I understand people's problems, but for me it was those emotional, just very personal scenes that those two had and their use of the Force. And I do want to see what Rian Johnson would get to do with characters that he created. And that's why for me he's higher than he's higher than Boba Fett, because I'm not that fan of a Boba Fett film. He's higher than the Game of Thrones ones because Game of Thrones guys have not done anything Star Wars, so I have nothing to go on. And Solo too, I have my reasons. So Rian Johnson, just because I've seen some stuff with Star Wars, I really like it, and I think it could end up being better than Last Jedi because he doesn't have to do justice to certain characters like a Luke, where people have so much expectations, and plus he took over from JJ and obviously didn't want to do much of what JJ wanted to do with these big mysteries with Snoke. That's what I mean. Like, I like Last Jedi a lot, but I understand everyone's problems with it, so that's why I'd be excited to see a trilogy of his.
Okay. My number 2 is the Rian Johnson trilogy. Yeah, I think I like Last Jedi. I think, you know, a lot of the moments in that just left me having, it was like a curveball. I like unpredictable, couldn't tell what was going on half the time because it was just, I couldn't foreshadow it. But I think a lot of the things he did with the characters, like the Yoda scene, and it made me cry. Every time I see the Yoda scene, I actually legit will tear up. It is fantastic.
I think that's a good scene, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess. I don't know if I look at that, I'm like, man, that's an amazing scene that I want me to see the trilogy. I think anybody could have put in, not anybody, but I think lots of people could have been capable of doing a good Yoda scene. He's not in it.
He's not in it that long. I think, you know, as far as Yoda scenes go, I think that's the best way to use a Force Ghost Yoda. I think it was fantastic.
With the lightning bolt?
Yeah, I think so. When you got, as old as he was, 900 years old, with the Force, I think he could tap into some extra Force abilities.
Why doesn't he help out then?
Because he knows not to do that. It would be against his code and his belief. I mean, he died a Jedi in exile, and he believed it to the end.
He died a little bitch is what he died.
Well,
he could have been out there for years trying to help, but no.
No, because I think, you know, out of all the Jedi, like Obi-Wan and Yoda, they died.
At least Obi-Wan had a job. He was trying to protect a kid. Yoda's doing nothing. I'm sure there's at some point he could have got a chance to take out Vader, but no, he just sat on his cave.
No, because I think it makes sense that the Jedi, it gets to the point where they know that they can't be, just like Luke Skywalker says, you think I'm going to go out there and swing my laser sword and fight them? To an extent. But I think, you know, the Jedi are good at realizing that, you know, they're not the saviors that everyone needs, that people need to be independent, and that in some shape or form the Jedi will always be there to help guide, but they're not the answer. I feel like the Jedi
also have like this big self-fulfilling prophecy of like, oh yeah, we don't need to be there, but it's like, yeah, but if you were here, it could really help out. It's like, oh, well, you'll do it.
They think they're better than everyone else, kind of like
100%.
Yeah,
and they kind of screw everyone over, but you know.
No, I think with Rian Johnson, I think if he gets his own characters and his own story, and who knows what time frame he's gonna pick.
Again, they've been very non-specific about it, so it's kind of tough to see. And this is one though, out of all of them, when I look at these movies, Solo 2 as well, I think this is a good one that has a chance of being delayed for quite a while or not happening anymore because of the Last Jedi controversy. Especially, let's say if Episode 9 comes out and majority of people love it again, they're just like, JJ, like...
Here's your trilogy.
Well, no, I don't think he'll do a trilogy. I could see him do one more Star Wars movie, to be honest, but, like, down the line, but that's interesting to see if Episode 10, if, like, do they just go that well? But I think if Episode 9 comes out and it's great and everyone's, like, just loves JJ, and then Ryan gets more down that totem pole of, like, yeah, see, you met, like... The trilogy would have been perfect if Rian Johnson didn't mess up the middle part, you know? So, because I do think JJ is going to go and turn and change a lot of things. Before, when we did our review that night with the obviously you've probably seen Last Jedi, when they reveal who Rey's parents are. I thought this was great. I think we talked about, like, will they change it? I was hardcore, like, no, they won't. Like, they're sticking with this. But just because the backlash was so much, I could see them now doing, like, oh, yeah, she is a Kenobi, or she is a this. And that's where it's like, this trilogy's going to be really wishy-washy, but at the same point, if that helps turn the fan base, that's what they're going to need to do. Mm-hmm. But that's where Rian Johnson, his, like, stock could drop, because he may look at, like, oh, like I said, he made the bad one of the new ones, you know, and you don't want to be that one. You don't want to be, like, we've always said that with Marvel, right? Like, all of them review well, they do well, and we're always waiting for when it's going to be that first, like, bomb one. You don't want to be that person that makes the first shitty MCU movie, right? So, and, like, obviously it's different because Solo, but Solo had these production problems, so people could say that, especially because Kathleen Kennedy was always like, yeah, we've had no problems with Ryan, this is his vision, his story. Like, it's just so funny looking back right now. They just thought everyone's gonna fucking love Last Jedi, and they should. Like, they're not gonna go there and be like, I think people are gonna dislike this, but just with the trilogy and everything, like, they put all their chips on Ryan, and maybe just because he's a nice guy, or maybe just because they looked at that movie like, this is the movie we want to put out there. Years later, we'll make it better, because even Empire, when it first came out, people didn't love it, but I was not alive at that point, so I don't know, but I just feel like stuff like the Rose stuff, people are never gonna grow on. That's always gonna be like nothing can change with the Rose stuff. I think the Luke stuff, people can soften on a little bit and be like, okay, that's the choice they made, but there's other things in that movie where I think they're kind of stuck with, you know, like the Canto Bight planet. That's never gonna, in my opinion, I don't think in 10 years I'm gonna watch it and be like, I really missed something, like, this planet's really great, you know, so. Yeah. My number 2, Lando.
Oh.
Yeah. I was not gonna be number 1. I still have faith in the other one. Yeah, for me, it's just because I feel it's kind of what I talked about similar a few years ago with Marvel Netflix. That one thing I was really disappointed with Luke Cage was, so Daredevil happened, really dark show. Jessica Jones happened, really dark show. And Luke Cage, all the previews didn't make it look like it was going to be like, I don't know, My Little Pony, but it looked like it was going to be a lot more fun energy. And then when the show actually happened, it was a bit more of a darker, serious tone. It ended up being a good, darker, serious tone because I tackled race issues, but with Iron Fist and then Punisher, I always wanted the same thing as MCU. That's why I really like Black Panther and like Incredible Hulk. And even Infinity War, I want a little bit different of movies, and that's where with Star Wars, Rogue One and Solo was definitely not as dreary as Rogue One was, but for me, lots of people say it's a fun Star Wars movie. I didn't get that fun. I didn't get that swashbuckling adventure where it's just Solo, he's doing smuggling. That's where you say, oh, we got that smuggling movie. I want the good time Lando smuggling movie where it's just like a bank heist movie, or it's like an Ocean's 11 movie, like something like that where it's fun the whole way through, where this at times was trying to tackle really serious stuff with Kira and with like, hey kid, like you're gonna have to betray people. Like, I want a fun character. I want a character arc, of course, but I think it'd be nice to get something not so deep and, like, I know it sounds bad, but not so dark and dreary. Like, I want what Lando's vibe was giving off. I want that for an entire movie. I don't want, if it was true, an Ace Ventura type Star Wars. That's not what I mean, but I did like the idea of a comedic Star Wars. When you really thought about it, yeah, maybe Lauren Miller weren't a great choice. When you went, well, they're in 21 Jump Street and Lego Movie, you kind of know their taste, but I'd like something almost in the vein of like an Iron Man. Like, I kind of want that vibe of like, and a better story, but almost like an Iron Man 3, where to me, Iron Man 3 was serious enough, but it was comedic. It was just some, you know, hey, is this guy bothering you? Like, there was some choice in that movie that was all over, and sometimes the humor was too much, but I want a good time adventure, and the real world stuff is, one, as far as making the movie, he is an Emmy Award-winning guy. Atlanta's a huge hit. He's a very talented guy. Like, you look at his music. I honestly think he could direct this movie as well. Yeah. Because I think they asked him that previously, and I think he said, like, oh, the pressure of it would be too much. But I think now he's played Lando, and you can't deny, everyone says the best thing about Solo is him. Like, everyone goes on about him, and there's a reason. I think he got the character down right. So, it's like, that's why I have him as number 2, because I feel like he is the equivalent to Obi-Wan, where really we don't need an Obi-Wan movie. We really don't. Yeah, there's stuff, but at the end of the day, in the OG trilogy, he just said he was just sitting around for 30 years doing nothing. So really we don't need it. We don't need any of these. But Lando to me has those credentials of, okay, we could potentially have a good director in him, and then we know he's a prequel character or whatever, person that's playing a younger version of him that the audience agrees with and I agree with. Like, I see Lando when I see him. With Han, I don't see that. So you have that out of the park. And the real world stuff is one, yeah, he's a huge star. And I agree with you. We talked about this, we haven't got to talk about this in the news. You shouldn't make a movie just because he's a big star. I get that. It's the same way the X-Men movies kind of suck sometimes because they make Jennifer Lawrence the main star because she's a big person, right? And that hurts the movie sometimes. But I think there is a collection of stuff. I think that's just one of them. And the fourth one would be because they want to make these things different. I don't want to be that guy. Every Star Wars movie right now, even some of these rumored spin-offs, are all being directed by 40-year-old white men. And there's not, when they keep talking about, like, we want to tell different stories and tell different points of life. That's why Black Panther was great. Like, that's why Wonder Woman's great, because there's certain scenarios in Black Panther and Wonder Woman as me as just a white guy, and I'm not trying to be that guy that's like, you're a white man, you're the worst piece of shit. No, it's just, I do want to see different stories, and I think if he directed, or even just telling Lando's story, it would be something new for Star Wars, a black male lead, and you could get different experiences, especially they've introduced this pansexual thing, kind of. I know some people are making a big deal of it, but it's space, like, I believe that, and I like if he is messing around with robots, good for him. Like, I feel like it has just unlimited potential. I think this is another one that could be like hour and a half, 2 hours, just like a good adventure, you know? And that's why, for me, I don't think it's just always a big star. I think it's a big reason, and I think that makes sense from money-wise, and they might want to do that after Solo now, too, because, you know, they want to make that money, but, yeah, I don't understand why. I can understand being lower, but for you having last place is a crime.
I don't know. I don't think if they put it out right after, you know, with Solo now, it's the next anthology film we're getting, but Lando.
That was always your hold up. We don't know if I don't think it would be the one right after. But this is,
and if it's not, then that's fine. I'm okay with that.
This is the problem though with the Lando thing. I don't know if that happens either now, because one, it's tied to Solo, which was kind of mixed, and two, I thought the Lando thing would happen when I thought we're going to do this, and then we're going to do episode 9, and then if those are still going, we're going to start getting 2 Star Wars movie a year, because they went, oh, one in May worked, and then one in December, because Last Jedi and this. Now I don't know if, that's the other reason why I think some of these could get canned, because I guess we can bring it up, I'll bring that up in a second, but if it's just movie theaters, and they're doing one a year, this already, if you look at it, that's 6, so one of these movies we wouldn't get for another 6 years, and especially those trilogy ones, that could hurt, because I guess it does take a few years to make like a 1, a 2, and a 3, but still, you might have to have space them even longer. So that's the one thing I'll say before. Obviously, number 1 is Obi-Wan. But do you think any of these could go, if they get the budget? Could you see any of these? We talked about this on news on the streaming app, because I could see not Lando because it's big, but that's where I could see a Boba Fett, or I could see the Game of Thrones, or maybe that's where you put Rian Johnson's trilogy of like, hey, it's a little divided, but if we put it on the app, people are going to watch it because they'll already be getting it, or they might be inclined to like, hey, this is the guy that did Last Jedi, let's see what he's doing, because if they are just doing one movie a year, not all of these are going to come out. I think a few of these are going to drop. That's where the app could happen though, right? Where you can put one in the theater, one in the app.
Yeah. I don't see Lando because I don't see the actor getting
No, I don't think he's going to
the
the streaming app, unless they pay him like a huge amount.
Yeah, yeah. So I couldn't see Boba Fett. I
could see
I couldn't see.
You can Solo. I don't think Solo 2 is even gonna happen anymore.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
If Boba Fett became a bounty hunters movie though, couldn't you see that though? If Boba Fett's not really the main character.
If it's a bounty hunters movie, I feel like they would want, depending, we don't know what the budget's gonna be.
Yeah.
But I feel like they want to have a certain kind of maximum amounts that they can keep dipping into to keep building up the movie, because they're going to want to give it certain visuals and certain kind of context or whatever. But I mean, I could definitely see Rian Johnson getting shafted to the streaming app.
I wonder if that happened though, if he'd want to do it though. I wonder if they'd pitch him that and say, hey, you're going to go to the app, and he'd be like, no, I'm good with this, or if they would make the movie and then say, we're going to put you to the app. So
I don't think he'd want to go that way. I think, you know, either he'll lose his trilogy, or Netflix or a streaming app, or by some way they keep him.
I could also see the Game of Thrones guys doing the trilogy for the app too, because they've done TV. So obviously, Obi-Wan. We can talk about this a little bit, because we've talked about before. We've always said this is the one we want the most, and I think it's because this is the one where I'll push back on you. I think it's similar to the Lando one though, where I think a part of us do want, just because we know Ewan can play a good Obi-Wan, and that's almost like the Lando thing, where it's like, oh, we just have this big star who can do it, because I think I do want a Logan-esque movie of Obi-Wan, of him in this desert dealing with, you know, like, his best friend, kind of, because it was terrible written, but, like, his Padawan, his Vader, and all the stuff's going on. He has to pretend, defend Luke, and there's some rumors that the movie might be about him working with some, like, settlers in a dispute with the Sand People, so it could be good as a one-off, but I also just worry it could be that thing of, we already know the Darth Maul thing happens, and then this happens. It could be that thing of trying to cram in too much stuff in a small space. That's what I worry. But the good stuff is, it's Ewan McGregor. I'd love to see him one more time as Obi-Wan. That's a full-on, lots of stuff I say. This is me throwing all my knowledge, all my points out of the window, because I want to see this movie. And I do think there is a chance that Maul is in this movie now, because Ray Park apparently has hinted about that. And if it is, I'm very disappointed that they did that in Rebels, because they shouldn't have. Because now they've shown they're going to use Maul. I think they should have used it for Rebels. Maybe they just recreate the scene live action and just do it, but I think Darth Maul makes sense of a guy trying to hunt down Obi-Wan. But yeah, Obi-Wan's always been number one for me. But I do have a lot more doubts about it after Solo. So it's a number one still, but I'm a bit more cautious of it now. I'm cautious to anything Star Wars that doesn't have J.J. Abrams directing it. So maybe he'll direct Obi-Wan. No. He directs every Star Wars movie.
Every Star Wars.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan movies every year. No, I actually...
Obi-Wan movies every year.
That meme is fantastic. No, I was actually thinking about that earlier, about it would not surprise me if they recreated that scene live action of Obi-Wan and Maul fighting from Rebels, and I'd be totally okay with it.
I think I am too. Yeah.
I feel like
I think they should make it longer extended than Darth Maul just showing up on Tatooine and then busting him out at the campfire. Like, maybe show Darth Maul's venture to get there.
I think they would. They would go much more in depth with it.
Just end of the movie, shows up just exactly like Vader in Rogue One.
Yeah, no, I would love to see him reprise his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, I'd love to see Liam Neeson, you know, do the voices. He can't come back as a Force Ghost, obviously, for specific reasons, because he didn't finish his training to do that.
Fair enough.
But just to reprise his voice back in there.
I was going to say he could have come back, because they're so good at that de-aging technology, so...
They could, totally.
Yeah. For you, is this a one-off movie, or would you want a potential trilogy? Just one and then done?
I don't need a trilogy of 20 years in the desert.
No, I think one... Because I don't want him on too many adventures, because that is the problem when we do meet Obi-Wan in New Hope. Not a problem, because it works for that movie. He's a hermit who doesn't even remember the name Obi-Wan. And that's like, how far does Rebels happen? Like, when he kills Darth Maul to Luke meeting him?
Rebels is 3 years before A New Hope.
Okay, and see, I'll give it a pass, but even for me, 3 years is not long enough for him to be like Obi-Wan. I haven't heard that name in a while, so that is the big risk. I want, if this Obi-Wan movie happens, relatively soon after Revenge of the Sith, you know, like not too close to New Hope, because I don't want the Solo thing where it's like, yeah, you still don't look like Harrison Ford, you don't feel like Harrison Ford, but yeah, I think it should be a one and done, and I do like the idea of something small, like always dealing with these settlers or dealing with sand people. Like, I want something like that, an emotional journey. I don't want, and I'll be very, what would make me not sold this movie if he leaves Tatooine at any point. Like, if it's
I don't think he would. Plus, I mean,
I didn't think Solo would get his name from a fucking Imperial guy going, "You're alone."
Yeah, but I mean,
they should call you Solo.
His one. Spoilers.
Oh, whatever.
I feel like with Obi-Wan, there's no room for him to break that promise and to leave Luke. It's against what he believes and his whole... I mean, you see it in Rebels when Maul inquires, like, oh, you're protecting something or someone, and it triggers him. He is not leaving Luke whatsoever. Yeah. I feel like... with the great scheme of things with the Jedi, at this point, they're not leaving planets. They're not exposing themselves because they know the Empire is literally right there with eyes everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if he barely takes his lightsaber out in this movie.
Some people have speculated that Vader would be in the movie as well, trying to hunt down Obi-Wan. And I think that also could cause some issues as far as timing and whatnot, because that you would have to have on Tatooine, because there's no way Vader's coming to Tatooine and not finding Luke Skywalker, I would imagine, right? So
yeah. No.
That's I mean, because you say there's no way, but that's the thing. All it takes is we see a preview and then we see Obi-Wan on a ship, and it's like, oh, what's happening? That's where I'm worried. Before I was like, oh, this wouldn't happen for sure, but I don't know. I'm still hopeful, but at the same time, I don't even know if this movie's gonna happen anymore.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Anything else to add on those spin-offs?
No, I'll give shout-outs to the movies, the Yoda movie, Mace Windu movie, Jabba the Hutt movie, all those movies that, you know...
I would take a young Mace Windu movie with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah?
100%. 100%. I've always said if I got a Yoda movie, I always want to be one of those characters close to the Old Republic. Like, give me a Michael B. Jordan movie of him in the Old Republic with that pro lightsaber. That'd be fantastic. So, yeah, I think that's what I want with those prequel characters if they use them. It's going way, way back. So, yeah.
Would you want a Count Dooku movie? Like,
I'd want him in
Padawan?
the movie. I'd want the same thing as like if we did Old Republic, have a young Mace Windu, have a young Count Dooku, get someone to do a young Liam Neeson. At the same, and that's what I mean. I'd want something where it's like a bunch of Sith, a bunch of Jedi. I would never want Dooku the movie, Neeson the movie, or Qui-Gon. Like that's where ensembles work a bit better, and we could play a bit more. Same thing. Why Obi-Wan worked is because they did it so far back. That's my problem with all of them too. Is like it's only 5 to 10 years, 7 years, whatever it is. Ewan was a whole 30 years. It was him as a young man. Same thing. Do a Qui-Gon when he's younger. Do a Dooku. Like see those relationships. I'm not fully against prequels. It's just sometimes they put them in a box. But that's why if you go so far back, you don't have to be in the box. That's why same thing with Vader. The prequels to me weren't in a box, but I just ended up not liking when I opened the box and saw the land.
All the sand in there.
Tons of sand. I just choked on the sand. So.
Well. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for finding, whatever. Listen to this Cantina conversation. All links are on the bottom. We're going to get out of here quickly because we've had a long night, and that's why you should subscribe. See, it's been a long night. That's why you subscribe on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that, so you can see why we had a long night, because we did lots of great content for you guys. Head over to Patreon and get that content earlier. But, yeah, we'll be... I'm not sure when our next Cantina conversations will be. Hopefully in the near future we get more news.
Is this pre-E3 or post-E3?
This is
P3.
Pre-E3, yeah.
Really? Oh, we'll see you at E3.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe the next Cantina will be about Star Wars games. You and I have a
no Battlefront 3.
Yeah, because this is the Star Wars conversation, Cantina conversation show, the Star Wars show. At some point, we're gonna get a Battlefront 3. I promise you. So.
Fun fact: Ewok mode is still in the game.
Good.
They didn't take it out.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
I cannot wait till they announce a Battlefront 3.